solutions that I see what will make me happy. Because how can you sleep when you have not eaten? A hungry man does not sleep.
Exactly. Sorry to cut you short, okay? Because someone that has not eaten, how is that person going to prepare to go for an event? Because we all know the prices of fuel and transportation.
Roadblock, nobody Nejuku from Ebonyi State at ENUGU. People trek from Ebonyi State to ENUGU to come and enjoy themselves. Because even if you start, so you will not sleep. And most of these events are all night. So what do? You come, stay awake for good. Stay awake and have fun instead of staying awake and sobering and and thinking of your life. That the problem is that even when you think the solutions don't come, if you say you go think and solution go come, is a different thing. But the more one of the reasons you can hardly find me depressed or sad is I have this thing that works for me. If a problem can be solved, why do you worry about it? If it cannot be solved, why do you still worry about it? Let it go.
Word.
Yes, let it go. There's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
Or the go koga there, according to my friend. So what I do is that I'll just try and see if I can actually handle it. If I can't, I'll leave it to God. And let me tell you, if not that some of our leaders have failed us, Nigerians are actually blessed. Nigeria as a country is blessed. That's why against us, against us, you said that Nigerians are happy. Now, how did we discover content creation in Nigeria? During COVID-19.
Honestly,
that was when the likes of Sabinus and Village them, because they were just, everybody was at home doing nothing, suffering depression, hunger. You come out, you wear masks and all that, and then people started playing around with their phones, and now we have billionaires made from content creation.
True.
So against us, we'll always find our ways out of our difficult times. But please, our leaders, help us.
I hope you're going to hear this.
Because I am voice of the people for today. Meanwhile, I want to say a very big shout out to those leaders that understand why they are there. Because not all.
Yeah.
Not all of them are bad. Thank you.
All right, so what are the best ways to ensure the safety of these people that are taking out their time, ensuring that they're going to be part of this event, no matter the economy, whether they have food to eat or transport fare to come? Because like you said, people can actually come from Ebonyi State down to ENUGU for this event. So what are the security measures that have been put in place for this particular event? Okay,
like hundreds of DRS vans and police officers have been deployed across ENUGU State. What they do is that they patrol 247 around ENUGU. As in, if you are traveling from ENUGU to Nsukka, you meet not less than 20 of them. Not fast-paced. But the idea is to ensure that the travelers are safe. The same thing happening within the metropolis. I'm sure if you tell yourself the truth, you will know that at least in recent times, ENUGU has been safer than before. And these things, I always say, are not really caused by human beings. And one of the ways we can actually stop this is to engage these youths. Now, youths, they do all these things now. Let's find a way to engage them. Thank God, according to His Excellency's manifesto, he has programs lined up for them. He has not really started touching those programs, but I know by the time he starts, these crimes will reduce.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you are coming for these programs, especially these night ones, please, as a girl, watch how you dress. Sometimes you see the way some of these girls dress to that place, to these events, is not really what it should be. That does not justify any person trying anything with anybody.
To harass them.
You shouldn't harass anyone, but at least there's a way you dress. Somebody go look at you and go tire. Yes, I have seen a girl that went to see a guy that was striking her. What she wore, how she was dressed was like, looked as if she was ready for whatever. But I have seen some girls that when they visit guys, by the time the guy look at the girl finish, she go just tire. Because we don't know where to start. So sometimes we also have to help these young guys that, sometimes what they smoke also make them to do some of these things. So what do we do? Please, if you are attending some of these events, watch how you dress.
Okay.
Watch where you stay.
Okay.
Watch who you stay around. Watch who you go out with. And then don't go out to ease yourself or do any of these things alone. There is no way everybody can be like you. There are people that have been possessed so badly that they always think of one evil or the other to perpetrate. Then I am part of the team organizing the roadblock. So the security measures we have, I think, will help us to curtail some of these things, if not eradicate it completely.
Signaturetv, news in your pocket.
With a population of about 36 million people, the Southeast is awash with stories. Every day on Southeast News, we tell the peculiar story of the Southeast and her people.
Our Southeast should be the Silicon Valley of Nigeria.
Their successes, achievements, and daily challenges. Do you have a Southeast story to share? Community achievements and challenges, completed and uncompleted projects, bad roads, water scarcity, erosion, flooding, insecurity, or even disagreements? Bring it on to Southeast News. On Southeast News, no story is too big or too small. Southeast News. Let's tell our story. Showing on Signaturetv every weekday at 4 p.m. WAT, 1600 hours GMT.
Welcome to Global News on Signaturetv. I am Barry Kumo Ado. In the headlines, Tinubu doubles down on open grazing, VIP security. Speaker Abbas bill to strengthen Nigeria's statistical data passes second reading. Beneval's full investigation into coup attempt probes foreign links. And fear spreads in Congo as M23 seizes Uvira and US brokered peace deal crumbles. Details shortly.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking. Events occur and there are new developments. At Signaturetv, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signaturetv. News in your pocket.
President Bola Tinubu on Wednesday issued clear directives on his order stopping special police security for Nigeria's upper class. At the Federal Executive Council meeting, he gave instructions to the Vice President, National Security Advisor, Minister of Interior to make sure that his directives are implemented. Correspondent Chimeze Zedema reports.
The issue of withdrawal of police escorts for VIPs seems to be of particular concern to President Tinubu. He said that for the directive to be varied, it must be with his express clearance.
If you have any problem of security because of the nature of your assignment, please contact the IGP and get my clearance.
The president, however, acknowledged that some public officers may need extra security to undertake some assignments. That was his reason for providing the window of request and clearance before any such deployment. He stated that the security situation in the country required all hands to be on deck and advised that the National Security Advisor and the Ministry of Interior to explore the option of using personnel of the Civil Defense and Forest Guards to meet such special needs.
The Minister for Interior should liaise with IGP and the Civil Defense structure to replace those police officers who are on special security duties, so that you don't leave people exposed. NSA and DSS to provide further information and form themselves into a committee and review the structure.
Another directive which the president revisited was the open grazing. The president said that it bordered on constitutional assignment of responsibilities. The states own the land, but open grazing is creating a security challenge which has no respect for state boundaries. He called on vice presidents using the instruments of the National Economic Council to recover some grazing reserves to turn them into ranches to stem header farmers' clashes and mainstream animal husbandry into the national economy.
Again, especially livestock reform, I think the vice president should get the neck, first of all, to see which village or grazing reserves that can be salvaged or rehabilitated into ranches, livestock settlement.
The president's return to these two issues is a pointer that he may not be satisfied with the outcome of his earlier directives on them. In Abuja, Chimeze Izadima reporting for Signaturetv News.
President Tinubu says bureaucracy or lack of access to opportunities will not limit the potential of the Nigerian youth under his administration. The President was speaking at the Presidential Villa at the Startup Grant Awards of the Nigerian Youth Academy Initiative. Correspondent Wambezi Njoku reports.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who was represented at the Grand Awards by the Chief of Staff, Femi Gbajabiamila, said his commitment to the development of the Nigerian youth was not a political calculation, but a personal commitment. He said the commitment arose from a clear understanding that the future of Nigeria and its capability to play in the international arena rests with the Nigerian youth. He pledged to remove every barrier that can limit the potentials of the Nigerian youth, explaining that that remains the driver of the reform agenda of his administration.
We carried out extensive regulatory reforms to remove bottlenecks for small businesses and new tax laws that will ease compliance for young entrepreneurs. Our administration is also providing incentives for founders in the digital and creative economy and expanding access to consumer credit and enterprise financing for millions of young Nigerians. All these interventions are shaped by one vision: to build an economy where the ambition of a young Nigerian is never limited by bureaucracy or lack of opportunity.
The coordinating Minister of the Economy and Minister of Finance, Wale Edu, said that by 2050, Nigerian youths in the age bracket of 18 and 25 will make up 25% of the world's workforce, and by 2050, about 50%. He stated that no government could afford not to equip such an important segment of its population if it wants to be relevant in the global economic and social space.
But in terms of the economic reforms, you are all aware that the country has changed. It's now a level playing field. For young people like you starting out, you don't have to know anybody. You just have to have your talent and your determination. There's no privileged access to certain things, no privileged access to foreign exchange like before, giving you a better chance to implement your entrepreneurial dreams. And of course, the administration of President Tinubu is providing you the raw material, the wherewithal that you need. You need data, you need fiber optics, you need technology, you need automation. And that is what is being provided to you. There are so many training programs going on. There's 1,200 kilometers of fiber optic network being put in place. And what does that mean? It means you stay in Nigeria and you provide services across the internet.
The Minister of Youth Development, Ayodele Olawande, whose ministry is spearheading the Youth Entrepreneurship Program, said that over 2,000 youths drawn from both the formal and informal sectors of the economy will receive grants of either 1 million naira or 500,000 naira each as start-up funds for new businesses.
We have the New Year Academy, we have the New Year Job Fair, we have the New Year Startup, and now we are having the New Year Gig. All this platform takes a young people in Nigeria to a complete circle where they can get a skill to build a business, to earn meaningful income. And also, we are not just putting this alone, but to achieve a meaningful life personally. We are here to start up a Nigerian young people of over 200,000 in the formal sector. We are here for the first time in the history of this country, including the informal sectors, to make sure that we provide a tools and a living wood for them.
The Nigerian Youth Academy Initiative, NIA, a social intervention program, aims at two goals. One is to reduce the unemployment pressure which drives deviancy, and the second is to create a critical mass of skilled labor force that can make the Nigerian economy competitive in a world driven by technology and innovation. In Abuja, I'm Wabuoze Njoko for Signature TV News.
The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, has advanced legislative efforts aimed at repealing and re-enacting laws governing the efficient and effective generation and administration of statistical data in Nigeria. The Speaker has proposed legislation entitled A Bill for an Act to Repeal the Statistics Act No. 9 of 2007 and enact the Statistics Bill 2025 to enhance the responsiveness, relevance, and effectiveness of a national statistical system in a digital era, establish and improve funding mechanism, and for related matters pass through second reading on the floor of the House on Tuesday. Co-sponsored by Adegboyega Isiaka, the bill seeks to introduce a modern and robust framework that empowers Nigeria's statistical system to deliver on its mandate more efficiently. Leading the debate on the general principles of the bill, the co-sponsor Isiaka described the bill as a very important one, saying that data has become the currency of sustainable development in the modern world. Co-sponsor further highlighted the objectives of a proposed act, saying that the bill aims to strengthen coordination of data statistics across all levels of government, enhance the autonomy and professional independence of the National Bureau of Statistics, establish a sustainable funding mechanism that guarantees the timely production and dissemination of official statistics. He argued that in the absence of credible data, public policy becomes guesswork and national planning risk being disconnected from reality. River State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has dismissed speculations of a rift between him and federal or state lawmakers from the state, insisting that claims of strained relations are unfounded. Fubara made a clarification on Wednesday at the commissioning of extended and dualized 28.4-kilometer Ahoda Amok Road. said that contrary to insinuations that it was avoiding the lawmakers' arrangements had already been made for a meeting with them. Explained that the plan was for his predecessor and FCT Minister Nyesom Wike, along with elder statesman Ferdinand Alabraba and other leaders to convene the session.
I personally do not have any disagreement or any anger anywhere with my members of the National Assembly, even that of the state here. Let me be very particular. The state members of the House of Assembly, I do not have any issue with them. I have made every effort. I believe that the leadership of the State Council that is led by Chief Ferdinand Alabraba can attest to this. I've made every effort to meet with them. But the arrangement wasn't for me to call them directly. It was for my leader, the minister, to arrange the meeting, which up till this hour, that meeting has not been fixed. So when people go about saying, I don't want to meet them, thing, I don't want to attend to them, I don't want to meet their demand, that is pure lie. I don't have any reason to do that. I personally said whatever is their need, whatever it is that they need, I'm ready to meet it so that we can have peace in the state.
Governor Fubara, who announced its defection from the PDP to the APC on Tuesday, used the event to call on Rivers people to continue supporting President Bola Tinubu.
Let me say here that we are now out. We are now with our boot shoes. We are now with our hats. We are now with our hand gloves to ready to move into everywhere to preach without any limitation the gospel of Asuwaju in Rivers State. So let me thank all of you for your support, more especially today, and assure you that this is the beginning of the good things that are coming.
The ENUGU state government has inaugurated a task force to address rising incidents of gender-based violence in the state. A task force, which has members drawn from various ministries and interministerial departments, was inaugurated by the Ministry of Children, Gender Affairs and Social Development. Correspondent Chinemerimi Kegbunam reports.
Across communities in Enugu State, reports of gender-based violence ranging from sexual assault, physical abuse, emotional torture to economic intimidation have continued to draw public concern. Recent figures from civic society groups indicate a disturbing rise in cases, especially among women, children, persons with disabilities, and other vulnerable groups. In what the state describes as a swift and structural response, the Ministry of Children, Gender Affairs and Social Development has inaugurated the Enugu State's Gender-Based Violence Task Force Team, a unified body designed to prevent, respond to, and completely scale up interventions against all forms of violence in the state. The task force team is mandated to harmonize all efforts, enforce zero tolerance for gender-based violence, and sensitize residents about violence against persons prohibition law (VAR), ensuring that no citizen is left without protection or access to justice. Chairman of the newly inaugurated team and Commissioner for Children, Gender Affairs and Social Development, Ngozi, said the task force is ready, well armed, and determined to end gender-based violence in Enugu State. She maintained that silence, stigma, and fear will no longer be allowed to overshadow the dignity of victims.
Today's gathering is not just an official launch, it is a bold declaration. A declaration that gender-based violence has no hold in Enugu State. A declaration that we will no longer allow silence, stigma, or institutional gaps to rob survivors of justice. A declaration that the safety and dignity of our people are non-negotiable. Gender-based violence is not an abstract statistic. It is the lived reality of our mothers, daughters, sisters, sons, elderly people, and persons with disability.
The Anglican Bishop of Nike Diocese, Right Reverend Dr. Christian Onya, provided a biblical foundation for the fight, stressing that the church must remain actively involved in protecting the vulnerable.
God from day one have commanded us to go and fight for the poor, for the oppressed, for the violated ones, for the depressed, for the rejected and the ejected ones. And so it didn't just start. It originated from the Bible where we read. And I want to thank the executive director of ESAC, Reverend E.K. Chukwumogu, for pushing this with all his strength and might to this level, engaging with the government and foreign donors to make sure this awareness is created. But coming to church, I have said it, I'm re-emphasizing it again, there can be no society morals without engaging with the church.
Representing traditional rulers, Igwe Samuel Asado pledged the full support of traditional institutions, commending Governor Peter Mba for what he called a visionary intervention.
So with this now, and I know it's been talked about, that I want the members of the press on Nigeria to support that, because some of us came in to add value, not to take. We came in to add value. Because the community, we love the community and the community loves some of us. So we are going to make a very big difference in this. So gender-based violence is something that is endemic in the society. And we want to eradicate it, we want to subject it to somewhere it can be manageable a little bit. So it will be just something. It could be, if you see something, say something. It's something anybody could be affected for. So that's why I'm here today.
A member of the committee, Onyimama, urged the team to work selflessly, passionately, and with total dedication to the cause.
But I think I would just need all of us to be completely selfless as we do this work. Not think about profits, not think about money, don't think about name, don't think about being recognized, and don't think about being delegated. When you do this work very well, what will speak for you is highly spiritual before it can become physical.
The event also featured the signing of multi-ministerial memorandum of understanding, signaling a new era of coordinated action between government ministries, civil society organizations, law enforcement agencies, and NGOs. In ENUGU, Chinemere Mikebunam, Signaturetv News.
The Faculty of Health Sciences and Technology of University of Nigeria, ENUGU campus, came alive as staff members gathered for a colorful Christmas party filled with joy and excitement. The event featured a rich lineup of activities beginning with Christmas carols, presentation of gifts, singing and dancing session where staff reflected on the year's journey and offered thanks to God for a successful year.
It was an atmosphere of pure excitement and festive cheer as the Faculty of Health Sciences and Technology, University of Nigeria, ENUGU campus, rolled out the drums for its annual staff Christmas party. It was a celebration that blended with joy, unity, and the true spirit of the season. The event kicked off with an inspiring song by Coda Choral, reflecting the season and setting the tone for gratitude and thanksgiving. Dean of the Faculty of Health Sciences and Technology, University of Nigeria, ENUGU campus, Professor Charles Ezema, gave justification for the get-together, saying there is need to appreciate God after toiling from the beginning to the end of the year. He said his greatest joy is that the faculty now has friends from far and near that support it to grow and get better.
We've come a long way, just as the prayer, prayed by Professor Jim. And there is need to reflect. So after toiling for a year, and God has kept us, we travel along Nsukka Road, we come back, travel to those that go for examination and accreditation and all that, we go and come back.
The head, Department of Nursing Sciences, Dr. Peace Ihanacho, said her desire is that the faculty becomes more visible and enjoys more support. She complained that the faculty is grossly understaffed, going by the student population.
In this faculty, we have over 10,000 students, and yes, we don't have We don't have up to 60 lecturers in all the faculties, all the departments in the faculty. We're talking about 10,000 students. It's not easy. So you can imagine that everybody is like, every time you're really under the pressure. So we actually need assistance.
Beautiful songs echoed through the venue, with voices harmonizing in classic tunes that lifted spirits and spread warmth. Faculty Welfare Chairman Dr. Ifeyinwa Arize expressed joy at the success of the event, saying that staff members all contributed and supported in the best way they can in organizing the event.
It's been awesome, especially with the kind of support I got from every member of staff, both academic and non-academic staff. I witnessed tremendous support. Almost everybody contributed to this party, and they were willing to do whatever thing they could to make sure it was a successful.
Lecturer, Continuing Education Department, Nsukka, Nkemjika Ogechi, who was presented a sent-forth gift, prayed for the continued growth of the faculty.
I feel very good because each time they organize it and call me, in fact, I feel on top of the world because it's like they know I'm here and I'm there.
In a touching moment that embodied the heart of Christmas, the faculty reached out with gifts to widows, drawing heartfelt appreciation and reminding everyone of the season's message of love and compassion. The Christmas party was no doubt a blend of celebration, generosity, and unforgettable entertainment that strengthened the bond among staff in the spirit of Christmas. In ENUGU, Christopher Lele, Signature TV News.
Still to come, all Progressive Grand Alliance Southeast Zone urge Southeast governors to tackle insecurity in the region. Ex-Minister of Aviation Stella Odua rearranged on 5 billion naira corruption charges. Stay with us.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
The All Progressives Grand Alliance Southeast Zone has urged the governors of Abia, Anambra, Ebonyi, Enugu, and Imo states to take urgent joint action to flush out terrorists, armed headsmen, and violent criminal gangs from the region. In a statement signed by Southeast Vice Chairman Augustine Ehemere, ABGA said it can no longer remain silent as the only indigenous political party in Igbo land. By the side of recent viral videos of heavily armed militants claiming to have infiltrated the region, December's second attack on Governor Alex Oti's advanced team along the Imo-Abia corridor, and the rising cases of killings and kidnappings across the southeast as clear indications that enemies are hiding in the forests and bushes. Abba called on the 5 governors to immediately convene an emergency security summit in any of the state capitals to adopt a unified and aggressive regional security strategy. It also demanded jointly deployed security patrols along interstate boundaries and highways and encouraged other states to replicate and strengthen the successful Anambra vigilante model introduced by Governor Chukwuma Soludo. Party commended President Bola Tinubu and the National Assembly for amending the Constitution to allow the creation of state police and for appointing retired Major General Christopher Musa as Minister of Defense, expressing optimism that over-centralized policing would soon end. ABGA urged all sons and daughters of Igbo land to remain vigilant throughout the Yuletide and to report any suspicious activity promptly. Governor Adeleke has declared the Accord Party as a platform we're using to seek re-election in 2026 following weeks of consultation and deliberations with stakeholders and opinion leaders. Meanwhile, the screening committee of the Accord Party has declared him as the sole governorship candidate of a party in Osun State. The development was confirmed in a statement by the chairman of the screening committee and national organizing secretary of the party, Ibe Thangold. Thangold said Adeleke met all the requirements for nomination and was subsequently declared as the sole aspirant for the party's governorship ticket. Certificate of clearance was presented to Adeleke by the committee's chairman. In response, the governor thanked the screening committee and the party leadership, saying it was ready to lead the Accord Party to victory in 2026. The federal government on Wednesday arraigned a former Minister of Aviation, Stella Odua, before the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory on 5 billion naira corruption charges. She was put on trial by the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, on 5 counts relating to advance fee fraud and conspiracy. In one of the counts, Stella Odua was accused of obtaining by fraudulent pretenses a sum of 2.4 billion naira through Broadwater's resources from the Federal Ministry of Aviation. She was said to have fraudulently claimed that the money represented the cost of technical supervision in January 2014. In another count, Stella Odua was alleged to have collected 1.6 billion naira and a further 839 million naira through the same means, contrary to Section 8 of the Advanced Fee Fraud Act. The former minister, who was docked along with one other accused person, however denied the charges. Justice Hamzat Muazu admitted her to bail on self-recognition, but ordered that she must deposit a traveling passport with the court and must not travel out of Nigeria without the court's permission. Next is business news.
The Nigerian exchange on Wednesday, 10th December 2025, recorded 747.07 million shares, traded in 19,125 deals valued at 12.41 billion naira, reflecting declines of 21% in volume, 45% in turnover, and 17% in deals compared to Tuesday. The market capitalization stood at 93.6 trillion naira. Out of 127 traded equities, 28 gained while 23 declined. Japol Gold and Ventures led the gainers with 10% share price appreciation, closing at 2 naira 53 kobo per share, from an opening price at 2 naira 30 kobo per share. Followed by Prestige Assurance Company, which surged with 9.4% to close at 1 naira 63 kobo per share, whereas Mikio Industries gained with 7.90 kobo per share, and the Initiate rose with 7.3% to close at 12 naira 50 kobo per share. On the losing side, Champs came out last with an end-of-day price depreciation of 10% at 3 naira 6 kobo per share, from an opening price at 3 naira 40 kobo per share, followed by Haldane McCall, which dropped with 8.88% to close at 4 naira per share from an opening price at 4 naira 39 kobo per share. However, the benchmark Nigerian Stock Exchange All-Share Index dropped 78.31 points to close at 146,861.98, representing a one-week gain of 1.06%, a four-week gain of 1%, and an overall year-to-date gain of 42.69%. This is business news in Global News. Chimezi Zadima reporting for Signaturetv News.
Up ahead, Benin Republic vows full investigation into coup attempt, probes foreign links. Spain's Chancellor and Palestinian President Abbas call for full ceasefire in Gaza. Stay with us.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking. Events occur, and there are new developments. At Signaturetv, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signaturetv.
One Republican Guard member was killed and another seriously injured during Sunday's failed coup attempt. The first official report of loyalist casualties. Government spokesperson Wilfred Leandrat Humbeji told reporters in Cotonou that authorities avoided a ground assault on a rebel-held military base to prevent a potential mutiny and limit civilian harm in a densely populated area. Said no ECOWAS personnel deployed to support Benin were hurt, and that forces at the base had evacuated before loyalist units moved in. He warned that anyone implicated domestically or abroad will be pursued.
If our army had intervened and launched an assault on the base, there would have been a mutiny. We faced significant risks of causing extensive harm to the civilian population because the base is in a residential area. Since the operation had already concluded, there were no fatalities among the ECOWAS forces that arrived. Even on the ground, the personnel working at the base did not suffer any loss of life. They had time to leave, and we did not arrest them, and nor did we fire on them. We will handle all the information in our possession with the utmost seriousness to understand the full scope of these events, determine responsibilities, and summon anyone who may have been involved in any capacity. If the investigations lead us to a foreign country or foreign actors who contributed to this, we will, within the framework of international cooperation, convey to those parties our disapproval and condemnation. We had armored vehicles at that base, which they were threatening to use against the institutions of the Republic. That is when we said that, from a military strategy perspective, the right approach was to neutralize those armored vehicles. To do so, it had to be done by air, because if we attempted it by land, we would have had to open fire. By using air operations, we could act with precision.
Benin investigates the attempted overthrow of President Patrice Talon, in which Moutinho's soldiers seized a state broadcaster early on Sunday and briefly announced the dissolution of national institutions. Congolese citizens across Kinshasa, Goma and Bukavu voiced fear and frustration on Wednesday, only hours after Rwanda-backed M23 rebels pushed into the eastern town of Uvira in their most significant advance in months. Many residents said the development signaled deepening insecurity and a growing sense that the conflict could spread far beyond the front lines. Reaction followed reports earlier in the day that M23 fighters had entered Uvira, a strategic hub on Lake Tanganyika, whose fall could open corridors towards other major provinces. The breakthrough came less than a week after Congo and Rwanda reaffirmed their commitment to a U.S.-brokered peace framework in Washington, raising questions about the agreement's credibility and the government's ability to contain the escalating violence. In Kinshasa, residents described shock and anger, warning that the fighting in Uvira felt like the beginning of a chain reaction that could eventually reach the capital. In Goma, some dismissed the news as unsurprising, saying rebel advances had become predictable under a government accused of failing to defend the east. In Bukavu, a city under rebel administration, residents said a capture of new territory after recent diplomatic engagement showed that dialogue alone was stabilizing the region. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez met Palestinian Prime Minister Mahmoud Abbas in Madrid on Wednesday, urging an immediate and comprehensive ceasefire in Gaza, pledging to mobilize international partners to end the conflict. Speaking after talks at Moncloa Palace, Sanchez condemned what he described as genocide and said those responsible must be held accountable, stressing that any ceasefire must be real and effective. Sanchez also confirmed Spain's support for the Palestinian Authority to play a central role in shaping governance for the future Palestinian state.
Those responsible for this genocide must be held accountable, and they must do so sooner or later so that the victims can find justice, reparation, and some peace, and so that a tragedy of this magnitude never happens again. because only then we can build a just and lasting peace based on coexistence. Yes, there was a ceasefire agreement, but this agreement must be real. It cannot be made of cardboard and stone, so we will not rest until the attacks against the population cease and there are no more victims. Secondly, we want to show support to the Palestinian Authority, which must play a central, fundamental role in designing the governance mechanisms that will define the future of the Palestinian people. We need to join forces with other European, Arab and other partners from around the world to develop the foundations for security that will put an end to violence once and for all. Therefore, Mr. President, Spain is committed to the Palestinian cause, and part of that commitment lies in our ability to mobilize the rest of the international community.
Abbas said the meeting was constructive and focused on urgent steps to implement the US-backed Gaza deal and called for a full ceasefire and the withdrawal of Israeli forces from Gaza. Palestinian leader thanked Spain for what he called its brave political and humanitarian stance.
Today we carried out deep and constructive talks which discussed the importance of a complete and urgent implementation of the plans proposed by the U.S. President Trump and the UN Security Council, so we can have a full ceasefire and end to the war, the resumption of aid and the prevention of forced displacement, as well as the withdrawal of Israeli forces from the Gaza Strip and to allow the Palestinian state to carry out its responsibilities as well as an immediate start to reconstruction. I renew my thanks to Your Excellency, to the government and to the people of our brotherly Spanish nation because of your brave political and humanitarian positions, and for your continuous support and backing to our nation and its just cause in all aspects, and thank you again.
Ukrainian sea drones Wednesday hit and disabled a tanker involved in trading Russian oil as it sailed through Ukraine's exclusive economic zone on the Black Sea to the Russian port of Novorossiysk, a Ukrainian official said. The attack is a third sea drone strike in 2 weeks, and vessels that are part of Russia's so-called shadow fleet, unregulated ships, which Kiev says are helping Moscow export large quantities of oil, found its war in Ukraine despite Western sanctions. War insurance costs for ships sailing to the Black Sea have spiked, with insurance reviewing policies daily as the conflict in Ukraine splits into sea lanes. The Dacian tanker was sailing at maximum speed with its transporters off when powerful explosions hit its stern, inflicting critical damage on the vessel. The official at the Security Service of Ukraine said it made no mention of possible casualties in the incident. Bolivian anti-narcotics forces came under attack from people in Villa Tinari, Cochabamba, after destroying 10 mobile factories used to produce cocaine, the government said on Wednesday. Police seized 3 vehicles, 2 motorcycles, and arrested 7 people during the raid, which uncovered chemical precursors used in drug production. Authorities said attackers surrounded the assaulted officers, demanding the release of detainees. Police responded with tear gas in line with riot control protocols to protect lives and prevent further violence. Large crowds of protesters began gathering in central Sofia on Wednesday evening for a major anti-government demonstration ahead of an expected vote of confidence. The government recently withdrew its 2026 budget plan for a nationwide protest against their planned tax hikes to finance higher spending. Recent protests have seen scuffles break out between police and demonstrators. Protesters gathered near government buildings demanded the government's resignation, and some signed a petition for the government to step down. Bulgaria's parliament would hold a vote of no confidence on Thursday in the government of Prime Minister Rosen Chernikov, the 6th such vote since it took power on January 15 this year. At least 24 unidentified victims of flash floods and landslides in Indonesia were buried in a mass funeral in Padang on Wednesday. In one of the hardest hit areas of West Sumatra, police said they have identified 235 bodies, while the remaining 24 were still unclaimed by relatives after being found for more than a week since the disaster struck in late November. The death toll from the cyclone-induced floods and landslides reached 969 as of Wednesday, with 262 people still missing, according to official data. Some 5,000 people were also injured. The storm also claimed about 200 lives in neighboring Malaysia and southern Thailand. Local government officials and Sumatra have called on the national government in Jakarta to declare a national emergency to free up additional funds for rescue and relief efforts. Riverside streets of the English city of York were flooded on Wednesday after Storm Bram hit the country. The storm brought heavy rain and strong winds up to 100 miles per hour. Flooding and travel chaos have been reported with buses, flights and trains delayed or cancelled. Roads were closed and multiple crashes were also reported, while multiple weather alerts have been issued earlier in the week. Bram is now to the north of the UK. Iceland will not take part in the 2026 Eurovision Song Contest, country's public broadcaster RUV said on Wednesday, after organisers, the European Broadcasting Union last week, cleared Israel's participation. The decision is to allow Israel to take part in the next Eurovision, which will be held in Vienna in May. Earlier prompted Spain, the Netherlands, Ireland and Slovenia to withdraw in protest, citing Israel's conduct in the Gaza war. Iceland was among the countries that had requested a vote last week on Israel's participation. The European Broadcasting Union, or EBU, decided not to call a vote on Israel's participation, saying that instead passed new rules aimed at discouraging governments from influencing the contest. Iceland has never won the song contest, but came second in 1999 and 2009. Eurovision Song Contest dates back to 1956 and reaches around 160 million viewers, according to the EBU. The Women's Bundesliga took a significant step towards autonomy on Wednesday as 14 clubs officially united under the newly formed Women's Bundesliga FBL Association. The organization's executive committee, led by President Katrina Kiel, alongside Vice President Veronika Sass and Second Vice President Florian Jofschlag, presented the vision at a press conference in Frankfurt on Wednesday.
A good year and a half ago, a little more than a year and a half ago, we started out as clubs and set out to ask ourselves questions. Above all, we had a clear goal, to reorganize women's football and give it a direction. Accordingly, we are very, very happy that today we can do one thing above all else, namely that we can mark this as a day of new beginnings for us, where we, as the executive committee, are empowered to give shape to everything we have achieved over the past year and a half. We are extremely confident that we will not only lead women's football within our organization, our players are with us every day, performing well in the future beyond the organization. Yes, for us clubs it goes without saying that the German Football Association, as the umbrella organization, should be involved in such an important event. It's historic, as I've already It's historic, as I've already said. For the first time in women's football, we clubs have come together to form an association, in solidarity. Accordingly, it's only natural that we invite the DFB president, and we're all the more delighted that he attended. As we have always to represent the interests of the clubs in solidarity, both internally and externally. This company and the DFB.
When the German Football Association president attended the event, the relationship between the new association and the national governing body remains a work in progress. Initial concept of forming a joint venture with the DFB has not yet materialized, though Kiel emphasized that that option hasn't been abandoned. Tel Aviv-based basketball team Maccabi Tel Aviv trained ahead of the return to home games on Wednesday as they prepare to host LDL Celtic Vellenbahn in Euro League basketball on December 11. The game will be the second basketball game played in Israel this season, said they were excited to play at home for not being able to do so. Back written in English.